Welcome, beautiful people. This is Eric Kearney, president of the Greater Cincinnati African American Chamber of Commerce. And we are so fortunate to have Christopher Bennett here with us. He is the man, the myth, the legend. He is incredibly intelligent, has great information, great knowledge. He is a Morehouse man, and you know how Morehouse men are, right? So, Chris, thank you for coming on our Thursday conversation with the African American Chamber of Commerce. It really is great to have you. You're right now doing a real estate investment project. Your background is you used to work at Procter & Gamble, one of the largest companies in the world. And so tell us a little bit about the current work that you're doing and your development firm.
Absolutely. So once again, hello, everyone. The current projects I'm working on are primarily focused on investing in and developing income-producing real estate. What I can share broadly is that it's identifying projects, running the pro forma analysis, aligning partners to get the deal done and getting the deal done. But the broader vision is for the company, Bendav Group, is to create opportunities for those who've been underutilized and underrepresented in spaces of alternative asset classes. And so we as a company are focused on doing that three ways. One is commercial real estate, but another is in equity and actual businesses. So that is what the day job is right now.
Okay, so when you take, and it's Bendav, right? B-E-N-D-A-V. When Bendav looks at a particular piece of real estate, if it's commercial, do you think of it as income producing, or do you think of it as, hey, we're going to try and develop it, or maybe it's a combination of the two? Is that your strategy, or how does that work?
Combination of the two. You always want to have multiple exits off the ramp.
Okay.
So whenever we look at a project, the first thing is you want to have a vision for what you think is going to be. There's some projects that are only meant to be residential. And so the analysis, the vision, the partners are going to drive in that direction. There are going to be some opportunities, going to be mixed development. And so that's the vision you operate against. But you always take one project at a time, right? And whatever best fits is what you work against, the highest and best use.
Okay. So now people who are interested in this, I know a lot of people get into residential and they'll buy a house or buy a 2-family or apartment building, and then they'll get equity and then they'll move on. Commercial's a completely different game.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So kind of explain the difference to people, how that works.
Well, traditionally, with real estate investing, I would say most people are introduced to it going into a bank or inheriting a house from mama and them. And it starts kind of the beginning of a portfolio that you begin renting. But what you learn is that as it relates to the financing, as it relates to the analysis, once you get above what they call a 5-unit property or 4 units, that's when you step into the realm of commercial. And so there are different rules to the game once you reach that commercial level. For example, you can get financing without having to have the loan against your name personally. The rules are much more accessible for bringing in partners to finance a deal. There are also a number of different networks that you can tap into to not only develop the deal, but also sell the deal that you're able to acquire. So it is a different ball game, different partners, and like I said, different rules.
Okay. So now, how did you get involved with this? Because it doesn't seem to me to be a straight line from Procter & Gamble to Bendav, right?
Yep.
Okay.
No, that's
so
a phenomenal question.
How'd you get interested?
I got involved just like most folk. You start off with one property. So back in 2007, I was in Birmingham, where I'm originally from. And the only thing I had in my mind is I'm going to buy a property, one, and two, I wanted to buy something that would pay me while I had it. So initially, my first property I ever bought was a duplex. And in starting off and purchasing the duplex is where I got my first taste of what a multi-use or multi-tenant property could do. And so I was extremely fortunate, blessed in that whole experience. And so long story short, in terms of going to get my MBA and doing all the things you do when you want a really good corporate job, I got the opportunity to come in Cincinnati. And so the playbook was the same. Buy a duplex. And so that's what my wife and I do when we first get here. In that process, it's funny how serendipitous some of this stuff is. I bump into individuals saying, "Hey, go to a real estate investment group, or you start talking to people that are doing some of the same things." They're like, you know what? The same work that it takes to manage 2 units, it's for 6. What?
Right.
And so that pricks, the mind. And so me, with my training about in finance, a finance professional, of course, I pull out the spreadsheet. And what
Right.
you begin to see is that for the same cost, and this is, of course, different times. I know things have changed with the market being as hot as it is.
Mhm.
But for what you would spend, on a single family home, if you were to spend that same amount on a 6-family home, you not only are able to acquire the property, do it in a way that may be a bit more, um, may give you more safety as a personal individual in terms of personal guarantees, and
Mhm.
generate cash flow like you've never seen before.
Right.
So it was kind of serendipitous. You start in the game and you're starting to look at opportunities, look at different things, and you continue to probe and ask questions, right?
Mhm.
Because at one time it was, hey, I want 20 single doors. But when you get into what does it look like managing that, could I just get a building that has 20 units?
Mhm.
And then that's where it just kind of opens up the door, and then begin to seek those opportunities.
So do you think the skills that you learned at Procter and Gamble, or that you learned when you
Mhm.
were getting your MBA, translate into the entrepreneurial role that you're playing now?
Some do, some don't. What I will say is that at the heart of being an entrepreneur, or doing anything where you're kind of spearheading yourself, there's something else that happens. There's something else that's driving you.
Mhm.
What the Procter and Gambles of the world, what the MBAs and the MPAs and the PMPs of the world give you are skills.
Mhm.
Skills that can be absolutely leveraged. But it takes more than skill to have the courage to step out there and do something like that, and also have the commitment to do it.
Mhm.
So that's why I say it's kind of, yes and no. I got world class training at P&G, so no knock against that. But to have the confidence and the courage to say, look, I'm going to apply that in this arena where there is risk. That's going to
Mhm.
take some of my capacity, take some of my time. It's something else that you have to draw from to do that.
Okay, so now what's your inspiration? Is it faith, or is it you and your wife trying to build something maybe for your children, or what do you call upon to get that courage?
Oh, it's all of the above. It's all of the
Mhm.
above. And I'll be open. I am a man of faith. And so I do
Mhm.
believe that, I'm somewhat called to this work. And when I say
Right.
called to it, I really mean being profitable. When I
Mhm.
say being profitable, meaning that whatever is given to you, you can use it within the principles and guidelines of your faith to
Mhm.
make more of it, or to be a blessing to somebody else. And
Mhm.
so that's, I guess, as a substratum of a basis, you can absolutely argue that. But
Right.
for as long as I can remember, I've always wanted to be financially independent, right? To
Mhm.
have the ability to quote unquote own your own time, be
Mhm.
able to focus and invest on the things that you see important, and be able to, as you mentioned, create something that can be a legacy for your family. So all of the above, it is and has been the motivation for why I would even consider a project, why I would even consider stepping away from something that is comfortable, that pays relatively very well, that
Mhm.
gives you the cachet to do
Right.
something that is high risk.
Mhm. So what you just said is very powerful. And it was a couple of things. One, about setting your own path, having your own, making your own decisions. And a lot of people are not comfortable with that, right?
Yeah.
My personal view is, what you have just described is what will create success for the African American community. People just don't realize it yet, right? But no, I mean that. I mean, the way that you've stepped out, I think, is really, it's perfect. It's a model for others to follow.
Mm.
And so I wonder, do you ever mentor other people about how you make that jump, or how you can establish your own business?
Absolutely. I always make myself available. And just to kind of share a few things, I think one of the reasons why it's a challenge to do something like that, because you need clarity. When I say clarity, it's one of those things of why are you here?
Mm-hmm.
And since we having this conversation, I'm out there in the water, I'm going to swim.
Mm-hmm.
I reached a point in my career where, when you're developing and you're going and you go to college, you go to Morehouse College and you say, yeah, I'm going to go to Morehouse College and I'm going to get that job, and you
Uh-huh.
go get that job.
Right.
and you're doing well in the job, and they say, oh, if you really want to accelerate your progression, you need to go get another degree. You go get that degree. You
Right.
get the degree, you have the job, you have the accoutrements of comfort, but you don't yet feel fulfilled,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so those are the moments of clarity that are necessary for a change. You know, and it's difficult. Like I said, speaking from personal experience, it's
Mm-hmm.
difficult when you are one of or the first of your family to go as far as
Mm-hmm.
you've gone. It's difficult when your entire life you've been told how smart you are, how intelligent you are. People have pushed opportunities on you
Mm-hmm.
to go work for one of the big companies of the world. And it is difficult when that's been kind of like your indoctrination, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start to kind of climb, success doesn't feel successful. And so, I think the more impactful thing, I think the more important thing is, what does it take to be fulfilled? What is your purpose?
Mm-hmm.
And I hate saying it like that because folks like, oh, well, here comes that loosey goosey. But
Right.
in all
No.
seriousness,
Good.
what will be fulfilling for you? Because time is short.
Mm-hmm.
Time is short. I'm gonna shut up. Go ahead. Go ahead, Eric.
No. I mean, I think that's important for people to hear because one thing that I've noticed in my job is that a lot of people think that successful people, it happened for them overnight, and that or either they were born into it or they were given it, and they don't understand that it's a struggle, right? It's hard, particularly when you first start out. And so I think it's powerful and it's wonderful that you're willing to share that type of information, right? That you had to plan it out, you had to decide what you were gonna do or what your calling was as you
Yeah,
described it. And so it's important for people to hear
absolutely. And what I would tell you is that any company's corporate training will tell you that before you embark on a project, before you make any material investment, you want to see the end before you begin.
that.
And that is wonderful analysis, and that's principally absolutely what you should do. But the reality is that when you start to walk, you only see a few steps ahead. And so
Mhm.
that's why when I talked earlier in the conversation about drawing from something different, you have to be connected to something that's deeper than just your skills. Because
Mhm.
as you said, it's one thing to come out and as you go into the world, you go into the world under the badge of P&G or under the badge of GE. And
Right.
because of the equity and cachet of those companies, people don't question. There's no
Mhm.
question that you're skilled. There's no question that you're talented. There's no question that you're able to do the job that you're saying you can do. But
Mhm.
when you remove that badge, it is not the same thing.
Right. 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 But
It
you're
is
you're
not the
out
same
there
thing.
and you're making it. That's the thing, right? I mean, you're doing it. So that's a positive thing. Now, I know you do real estate. You've described that, but I'm aware that you also invest in businesses, right?
Yes.
In business opportunities. So
Mhm.
how were you able to marry those two concepts, the real estate investing and the business investing?
Absolutely. So a little bit more about myself. As I reflected, one of the things I thought about was, as I look back over my life, why have I been given the opportunities I've been given?
Mhm.
And what good is it if, only I can benefit, be blessed, or profit from those things? And so, long story short, what I concluded is I think one of the things that the Lord has purposed me with is to create opportunities. And
Mhm.
so, in order to create those opportunities, you got to get in the game. So it's, and I won't go into any in-depth economic analysis, but I think there are two opportunities that just right for individuals who have not been able to participate in these asset classes to get into. It's been in business and in
Mhm.
commercial real estate. And
Mhm.
so as a byproduct of wanting to be the change I seek and be a pathway for capital, pathway for deals, pathway for opportunities, it has been, how do I get myself involved in those games? And
Mhm.
so that's kind of what the emergence of what Bendav Group came to become. First, it was
Mhm.
commercial real estate. I get that, but there's more. And
Mhm.
then as you start evaluating, what are the opportunities? What does it look like to own equity in a startup? What does it look like to own equity in a lifestyle business, in an
Mhm.
everyday business that makes money like this? And so that was the inspiration of going in those directions. What makes them similar is that the analysis, the focus is very similar. It's investing, right?
Mhm.
So when you look at an opportunity, what does the due diligence process look like?
Right.
You know, what does pulling together the capital? to structure and do the deal look like? Those skills are similar in both lanes.
Mhm.
I would say that the maintenance and the sustainability look different, but in terms of actual identifying an opportunity, structuring a deal to close an opportunity, and doing it, those skill sets look differently. And those happen to be skills that I kind of picked up along the way in my journey.
Mhm. So if someone's listening to this and they maybe want to get involved with commercial real estate or residential, or they want to get involved with investing in businesses, and they say, listen, I don't have $500,000 sitting in my bank account.
Yeah.
Can I get in for a smaller amount? Or are there strategies or ways for people to get into this type of investing? Um, and can it be your main business, or does it have to be kind of like your hobby?
Very good questions.
Mhm.
So I will first answer your first question. So you start with what's in your hand. And when
Mhm.
I say that, meaning that we'll stay with the example of real estate. What
Mhm.
can you do now to get engaged in the game? So for some, it is having some money that you can kind of put at risk and kind of test and learn your way through it. For others, if you don't have the money, you can't. But
Right.
what skills do you have, or what skills can you acquire that put you in position to take advantage of opportunities? One
Mm.
of the more common opportunities is wholesaling, or another term is called bird dogging, where you basically use your skills to identify the deal, find the deal. Wherever the deal is, you find it, you put that deal under contract, and then you go sell it to someone who can actually fund the deal. That
Okay.
is one small example of how, if I have no cash, I can get into the process, get into the game.
Mhm.
As we talk about commercial opportunities, I think the biggest thing is networks and relationships. So I'm going to use some specifics. What are the real estate investing groups in your community? What are the organizations that are already invested in education and in opportunities in the area? So I use one example, one that you are absolutely familiar with, the Urban Land Institute here in Cincinnati.
Mhm.
That is an excellent resource for education, excellent resource for a network, an excellent resource for other opportunities for training. Those are ways that you get in. You learn, you offer up your time and skill, and along the way, as you develop the nest egg, you can then put your money in play. Those are kind of the three ways that I honestly personally had to do
Mhm.
in order to become involved in both of those tracks. But those are the opportunities I see that anyone can pick up and do.
Okay. So it's doable even if you're a small person just starting out
Absolutely, it's doable.
without a lot of cash. So now tell us a little bit more about yourself, Chris. I mean, you've been very successful in the commercial real estate space, the investing space. You're a family man, and you've got two children. But what other activities are you doing or involved in?
Oh man, you hit me with the rundown. So there are a few
A
other
little
things
bit.
that I do
Uh-huh.
currently participate in. I will also, this is a shameless plug for Black Achievers.
Uh-huh.
Black Achievers is definitely a local network here in Cincinnati, seeking wonderful professionals to join. But I spend my time there. I'm one of the co-leads of the investment committee, and
Mhm.
just to kind of tie back to our conversation and tie back to the purpose, my primary intent is to help structure opportunities for the broader network to participate in, whether it's pulling money together to go in and buy a business or buy a portion of a business or even fund a commercial project. That is how I'm tying my time to my skills, to my purpose.
Mhm.
Another thing that I'm very active, I'm active in my church.
Mhm.
Believe it or not, I'm a Sunday school teacher, believe it or
Oh,
not.
good. That's wonderful.
uh,
Yeah.
but but it's all a part of the spirit of building people, and I do believe in building people and being profitable is what, like I said, we're all called to do, and I'm offering myself to do that.
Uh,
So outside of business, and then this is the last thing I share.
mhm.
One of the things that's absolutely captivated me is I've had experience in doing commercial real estate. I've done startup equity. Now I think where we're really focused is really buying a company. And when I say buying a company with EBITDA between, call it $500,000 to $2 million. EBITDA is just earnings after you pay everybody else before you pay taxes
And depreciation,
and depreciation, right?
right? Right.
I'll let you go to the show notes and further define that. But buying a sizable company with $1 million plus revenues that can then be used to acquire and bolt on other businesses. So,
Okay.
that is really where the focus from a professional perspective is now, is how do I do that? And
Mhm.
once again, I'm not planning on having to count my pennies up until I can save enough to do that. I'm leveraging relationships and networks to do that.
That's very important. The leverage thing is absolutely crucial. So when I bought my first company, it was done through leverage, 100%, to be honest with you. So yeah, so leverage is a powerful aspect. Chris, I thank you, because I know that you're a very busy man, and I appreciate you, quite frankly, being very open and sharing with the members of the African American Chamber and the community a little bit about your business, your approach to business, and your approach to life, and the way that faith is a powerful influence in your business and part of your success. So I think that's wonderful.
Now, I thought I was supposed to get a chance to ask you questions. What happened to that part?
No. It's a one-way street. It's a one-way street. It's a one-way street. Yeah. But no, I really do appreciate it. And I know people will love it. And I guess if people want to follow up with you, you say sometimes you mentor people, but I know that a lot of entrepreneurs will be very interested in kind of the message that you bring. It will resonate with our community. Definitely.
Absolutely. If you can't find a mentor, find a model. And what that means is, if I can't talk to you, let me read your story.
Right. I remember. I remember
Eric Kearney. That's right.
It's funny that you say that, because when I was coming through, I was a lawyer. There were no other Black lawyers. There was only one other Black lawyer, and he worked for another firm. And so what I would do is I would read biographies, and I would use those as like an inspiration or a model, right? Because I didn't really know anybody or have that kind of. I didn't have anybody. So that's what I did. So you're right. If you can't find a mentor, find a model, or read a book about somebody.
Find whatever you can and is capable. I guess the last thing I share before we wrap up is, especially during this time, see opportunity and acknowledge the giants. And when I say that, meaning that be real about what's out there, but don't be fearful of it. Opportunities are everywhere. You just have to be looking for them.
That's very good. That's very good. Well, this has really been a positive conversation. I appreciate you, Chris, very, very much. Thank you all very much for watching this Thursday conversation with Christopher Bennett, 2 N's, 2 E's, 2 T's. So spell it right. Okay. Thank you all very much, and be safe, be well.